called RETV. And what you have just been seeing is the beautiful music from the Save the Hands.
Safe Streets Art Foundation and
The-
Dennis
yes.
Sobin, and made in prison, the music that we recorded in a federal prison.
Really?
Yes.
When did all this take place?
It took place about 10 years ago, when
About 10
just before I exited prison. I spent 10 years in prison, and I got there, and the reason I was in prison, I mean, it's a long story, but both the prosecutor and I would agree that I was there because I refused to accept a plea bargain and plead guilty to something I didn't do. And if I had pled guilty, I would have got probation. Instead, I chose to go to trial, and in America, people who go to trial, most people don't, most people accept some offer, end up spending a lot of time in jail. So I did that, and when I got there, I said, well, I'm here, what do? I wanted to read a lot of books. I wanted to learn how to touch type. I always was interested because I do a lot of writing, and I said, I really need that skill. I did, and I said, I want to learn music. I played a little bit on guitar, but I want to learn how to read music. I want to play the classics. I want to play everything and read the music so that I can be a real professional. And I accomplished that with the help of prison staff, with the help of other inmates who were musicians. Right in prison. And when I got out, I made a good living with my music, including playing at the Kennedy Center, which I still do now.
You know what we're going to name this TV show?
What's that?
Turning change and behind bars into beauty and art.
Oh, good. Very nice.
Isn't it? Because see, that's what came out of your destitute, came out of your imprisonment.
Right. I agree.
A whole lot of beauty.
Yes, I agree. And I saw so much beautiful art going on.
If
they had given me another 10 years, I would have learned how to be a painter. I didn't because I got out. But I saw other inmates who worked on their art, everything you're seeing here, all created by inmates. And I decided when I got out, Liz, that in addition to music, and promoting it, and you see a lot of guitars around because we do some teaching of music, ex-inmates, and etc., and a lot of shows, including the show we'll be doing,
right at George Mason.
So I said, in addition to music, we want to open this up to other forms of art. So as a result, we exhibit, collect art from prisoners, show it at various shows, and have a number of art galleries that we exhibit at. And it's all viewable, or a lot of it is viewable on our website, safestreetsarts.org.
safestreetsarts.org.
Right.
Did I get that?
With the streets being plural and the arts being plural, because we do many arts.
Well, right here in front of us, let's talk about this.
This is part of a massive amount of sculpture and craft items we get. These items here were all made from soap.
Soap?
This was made from soap, and you could see it's brittle. Some we have to repair. This is out here for repair, but all made with soap. You know, when you hear prisoners working with soap, making guns, which they don't do, although Willie Sutton may have done that many years ago. But they make some beautiful soap items, and some of these are on display intact. All soap, these items here.
That's right here.
Some of the, and you can see how brittle the head. We have to repair the head, but some of them that are intact are on display in museums.
This is hand painted?
Yes, hand painted and hand sculpted with soap.
Hand sculpture.
Because they take bars of soap, they melt it down into a block, and then sculpture.
Okay, what is this?
These are very interesting.
These are
These
beautiful
were made
shapes.
with paper. Just
What?
plain paper.
Paper?
All paper. Because you can make paper mache, you can form things. This was done this way. The coloring was done with instant coffee. The only coloring that was available in prison, and some string was found and used, and the hardness of it was done with wax. The wax when they clean the floors. You see the prison movies; they're always cleaning the floors, which is true.
Awesome.
The artist got some of that wax, and he said, "I'm going to make this nice and stiff." And that's what he did. And this is done with paper, wax, and as a coloring, instant coffee. So it shows you, and the detail is really incredible.
Isn't it? It is.
And some
Yes.
larger items, and this was all hand done, not by any kit or anything like that. So really incredible art.
This is
And we have a lot more up
What
here
is this?
too.
Okay, let's take a look at this over here.
This is a very interesting piece right here. This was done with bread.
Bread.
This was done with bread, and you could see it's very, very brittle. We're in the process of repairing it with bread, because you can wet bread. Try it at home. If you have the patience, wet it, and it becomes like a clay. They didn't have clay available, so this inmate, a New Jersey inmate, sculpted it and then got some coloring through staff. He was able to get some good coloring and made it into a dragon here. And again, it's very brittle. We're repairing it now.
What's this?
These were
toys.
made out of little paper boxes. Inmates would use toothpaste boxes, and they would color it. They would cut out from magazines and put it on here.
This would be a good Christmas present.
Right, right.
You seen us?
And then the decals itself come from magazines.
Yeah.
And how do they get it on? Because glue is not available to prisoners.
Right. So how to do that?
They use toothpaste. Toothpaste serves as a glue. Try it sometime. It works.
Oh my gosh! What
I
about
tried
this?
it.
What's this right here?
Yeah, this is wood. There are a number of prisons that do have craft shops, and they're able to get good materials, wood items, and you could see a number of wood items. The same thing with
A wallet?
with leather craft items, and there's a number of that there.
And they made this too?
Everything here was made by the prisoners. This was made with leather. And here's a very interesting.
So, any of those prisoners, are any of them out now?
A lot of them are out, because we've been at this ever since I got out of prison 10 years ago, and a number of them are out.
So
Some
what are you
have died.
doing now? What are you doing now?
Well,
since
I'm
you've been
director
You're
of
the director?
the foundation, the Safe Streets Arts Foundation.
So
In
how
my
long
spare
you been
time,
there?
that's my day job.
Okay, how long you been? How long you been
Actually,
the director?
it was formed while I was in prison. Two other ex-inmates, they were already out. We got the idea, they said, let's form the organization. And now our board of directors consists of ex-prisoners. That's who's on the board. We have a large advisory board that includes wealthy lawyers and others, but the decisions are made by ex-prisoners such as myself. We think we have a special sensitivity for the needs of people in prison, and also we don't accept a lot of bull from people in prison when they write letters saying to us, oh, things are so bad, I don't have anything to do. We tell them what some of these guys are doing with nothing. And they're making money, and we're sending money to families, because half of whatever we get for our art is given back to the inmates or their families or the victims, depending on the arrangement that takes place.
We got to stop right here. Social entrepreneurs. That's
what it's
exactly
about. Sure,
what it's
they're
about.
doing.
Social
Right.
entrepreneurs. And just remember that this program is brought to you by GMU Social Entrepreneurs.
Right.
So we are learning a great lesson here.
Yeah, this is why we like the connection very much, because we think you're on the right track, and rather than just give a handout to people, inmates, ex-inmates, who fall for their sob stories, and everybody has sob stories.
Everybody have a story.
But you have to look at the positive. You have to say, okay, we heard it, now let's move on and get on with life.
Okay.
And this is an inmate who worked with leather. He didn't have leather available. He made little change purses here. And what he did was, on the softball field of the prison, you know, they would use a softball, and then after you use a softball for a couple of years, it's no good anymore. It's out of shape. He said, oh, let me have them. He cut them out. He cut out the leather from the softballs, and he made a number of purses, and that's what he does. And then he got some paint and painted it. So they learn how to improvise, and they do it very, very well. Here's a very interesting piece up here. This was made by an inmate, a federal inmate in Florida at a federal prison. States have both federal and local prisons, and this was made in a federal prison. The inmate was from South America. We even have a little flag above it. That's from Brazil, by the way. But he was from that country, and he was a shipbuilder there. He was, from what I understand it, got involved with drugs and transporting drugs to America on a boat, and he was apprehended and sent to prison for many years. And he said, well, there, I'm going to continue my shipbuilding skills. And that's what he did. It took him 18 months to make. And I see, Liz, you're working with, this is a moccasin that were made with crocheting, actually.
Crocheting?
Crocheting. There's other examples of crocheting.
Like this?
This is a very optimistic inmate hoping he'll find someone to give his crocheted bra and bikini to. But he can look ahead to the future.
He can look ahead to the future. That's right. And here's the shoe.
Yes, and here's
what was that?
Shoe that are made, and of course shoemaking by hand is a very old skill, and they pick up on it. Very well done. The details are very, very well done on this. So all kinds of things done with paper, a little fan. This is mostly decoration, of course. Here's another example of soap. This is a bookend. This is a soap sculpture.
The soap.
And
what's this? This is
some
beautiful.
prisoners get a hold of ceramics because they have craft shops, and they'll create something with ceramics, all done by hand. And but everything here.
Oh, this is beautiful.
And those are paper flowers that were done with
Aren't
paper.
they beautiful?
And that's how that was done there. But let me show you some of the art.
Okay.
Because we actually, while this is very interesting, we don't sell very much of it because they tend to be a little expensive. They take so long to make. We mostly show this, museums pick it up. But our art collection, particularly our prints, are very, very popular in gift stores. And talk about social entrepreneurship. We have people, including people on the street, vending, because as a nonprofit we have permission to vend on any street, and they sell quite a bit of this art. You know, our wholesale price is very low, like $10 each, and they can sell this for $20, $30, $40 on the street.
What is this one?
This has a lot of appeal because this was created by actually an inmate in New York. We had contact with his mother too. She called us one day. She said, "Oh, I love the paintings he's doing. Thank you for exhibiting and selling them." He was my 7th child, and he was very sickly, and we didn't know whether he would live, but he turned out to be the most talented. And this is an example of his work.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes, and it of course has the appeal for people particularly in the Washington D.C. area because there's so many military going on.
The military family.
And it shows people in prison could be very patriotic too. They're still citizens. This is all part of America.
This sort of psychedelic.
This is a very rare one for us because this was created by a prisoner who created this right on the streets of Washington when he got out of prison. This was his first impression of a city life. Of course, he used New York as an example just because of the high skyscrapers. But this he created just when he left prison. He also created quite a bit of art in prison itself. So he was able to sell his own art, both originals and prints out there.
What's this right here?
Oh, that
is
piece.
Beautiful. Did they make the frame too?
They made this frame. Some of the frames we created professionally, but this frame was made by the prisoner himself. The same thing with the items down there. Here's one that needs to be repaired. Let me show you probably our most popular piece as far as selling
I wonder why.
And this was created by an inmate in California, and he specializes in art, classical art, similar to Picasso, similar to Van Gogh. But I said to him, Tanola, that's his name, can you in a letter, because we have I said, can't you make something more contemporary that gives some message, something about why people go to prison or anything like that? And he created this, of course, a monkey smoking, drinking, and using pot here, and that was his impression. He happens to be a black inmate too, because initially I said, well, it might be a little offensive just using, an image like that. But he said, that's what I want. And this is our #1 seller. People really like it, because it sends an image to kids, to everyone. You want to act crazy, you just,
That's the way to be.
We get all kinds of things. We have one inmate who specializes in humorous art. This inmate specializes in humorous art, and he creates different images, caricatures almost, and shows you about the futility of much of the punishment that we give in America. We send people to prison for the slightest things, little drug usage, for example. And we keep them there too long, and when they're there, most of them don't get an education. Not many of them. We try to motivate a lot of them for social entrepreneurship, art, music, but most of them just, say, I'm just going to take it easy, and, this shows the futility of much of the prison experience and the depression a lot of them feel as a result of that. This was probably the first piece of art that we sold. This was created by an inmate. Let me see, we have the backs give a full description too. And we too sing America. And that was taken, that's a line from a Langston Hughes poem, by the way.
It is.
Yes.
That's right, it is.
Because, and this was done by a fellow, Richie Witherspoon, in Iona, Michigan. And the original was very huge. We sold the original at auction for about $500. And the interesting thing is, we only expected about 300 or so, but the two people who bid at the end were husband and wife, but they didn't see each other. One was in the front of the auctioneer and the other was in the back, and they were bidding against each other. And at the end, they had money, so they just laughed about it. They said, oh, it's worth it. And it was. It's a beautiful piece. And this is a very good seller, too. So I could go on and on. This is a piece created. We have some created by, either by females or with a female image. And this piece is called, and it was created in Tennessee, an inmate in Tennessee. And this is called Appeal Denied. And this is a typical scene in prison where somebody is on the phone and they get bad news when they're on the phone. And this is a woman crying. She apparently just spoke to her mother or her lawyer, and they said, gee, our hopes that the judge would reverse the decision did not come to fruition. You'll have to do your entire sentence. And this is how phone calls are made in prison, very accurate.
I want to ask you a question. You're talking about reversing the decision. Tell me, how do your art have a way of transforming lives? Well, and I think it can be done in two ways. It can be transforming the person who's doing the art, and it can actually transform the lives of the people who is reviewing the art. So tell me.
We're going to hire you to make that statement to the public. That's very well done. But, that would be approximately what I would say. It has a twofold aspect. We want to show the humanity and the talent of people in prison. These are not individuals who we should just throw away.
Right.
And when they get out, we need to give them a chance. And most of them do not have a very good chance. They're discriminated against, they're treated, and the newest trend in America is registries, where we register various categories of prisoners when they come out, and their faces over the internet, they're discriminated against, they can't get food stamps to start out. I mean, this is crazy, because if you don't give people a chance, they're going to revert right back to criminal behavior. They don't have a choice. Anyone would do that.
Yeah.
we want to show that they have talent, that they have ability, and at the same time, we want them to develop their skills while they're in prison.
And that's
and this has that twofold aspect of it. And maybe finally, a third aspect is to communicate to the public some of the thoughts and ideas of prisoners, some of their hopes, their expectations, some of their depression, as we saw in some of this, and real human feelings. So if the public sees them as human beings.
I want to
Sure.
ask you this question. Do they dare to dream?
This is what the art is about. This
That's
is what the art is about. And Liz, you'll actually see, and I had this situation, artists decorate their cells with their art and say, I'm going to transform myself out of here. I'm going to build my own. And this is a fellow right here who actually won his appeal in prison.
He did.
This was created by a fellow named Richard Hinger. And it rhymes with finger. When he sent his different body parts out. He just did, and he said, "I'm going to get out of prison one body part at a time." And that was the note he sent.
He was
with the,
prophesizing it, huh?
And he's actually a very good artist and has taught art in prison.
Okay. What's that picture right there on top?
This is more of a what do you call abstract? See, I'm not a real artist. I could spill it off,
Yeah.
but this was done by a prisoner. I'm not exactly sure. The back I would have to look at, but I would have to take it off the wall, and we won't go through that right now. But we get a lot of abstract, and again, what you were saying, Liz, they could make let their imaginations run wild, and here's a baby with headphones on, and I'm not sure what it means, and a plug here, but. It's a very interesting and colorful and well-executed piece.
You said this is on
Yes,
the
this
road?
this is
On the
done
road.
by a prisoner in Virginia, actually.
In Virginia?
Yeah, a state
Okay.
prison in Virginia. His name Jackson, Kelly
Okay.
Jackson.
Kelly Jackson.
And he, again,
It's that
wanted
maybe
to
that might be
open
home.
up a home, a road. He envisions an idyllic place, anything but prison.
That's right.
We don't
and I
get
like
too-
the nice coloring.
Yes,
You see the
beautiful
coloring, beautiful
yes,
coloring. Evidently, it must have been in the fall or maybe late spring.
Well, whatever his imagination was capable of, he did that. And
look at the little fine.
Yeah.
What you call those? The weeping willows.
Oh yes. Well, if people go to our website, they can see a lot of this, and they can decorate their home or office with it, with the prints very inexpensively.
And see, that's the whole purpose of what we're saying about social entrepreneurs.
Right.
Is where we become creative, but we become a part of the passion that we have in it to bring forth the creativity to change not only ourselves within, but the people that we want to touch.
Right.
And you know what? That pulled down social barriers, racial barriers.
Right.
It pulled down generation barriers.
Right. I agree.
Because in that way, it's like everybody who come involved, their life can be touched.
Yes, very well put. It may be too that the common color now we're dealing with is green, the color of money, because you need it to live on.
You need it. That's true.
And it's available, and we are the richest country in America.
World.
Kind of interesting too. When I get out of prison, and I wrote a book about this, which is available free on our website, and we got a lot of people reading because it was my story. When I got out of prison, because I spent 10 years there, and my family was very upset. My son was a lawyer. He said, "Dad, you should have taken the deal. You could have been out. No jail time, just some probation. You're too principled, you're too stubborn." So the whole family kind of turned their back on me. And when I get out, they said, we'll help you. We've got money put aside. We've got inheritance money. If you get a conventional job, we want you to stay away from the prison work. No, remember. But I was committed to this concept. So when I got out, I was really on my own, and I started out in a homeless shelter. That was the first place I stayed. I had my independence. It was a lot like prison with one big difference. I could leave. I could have my fundraising events. I can sell art or play my music even on the street and get donations. And from there, we made enough money in the organization. We were able to get our own place. I was able to get my own place. And we just went upward from there. Now the organization has a number of galleries. We own our own property. We have a large stock and bond portfolio. Because of excess funds we get, we invest and create an endowment for the group. We have shows at the Kennedy Center, which are free and open to the public. And we have professional actors perform there with drama written in prison. These are all plays written by prisoners, because that's the other component of what we do. 3 components: music, arts, and writing of prisoners. And we publish over 300 books by prisoners, which are available on our website, free. So we do well.
I see how we have a lot in common here. In fact, you have already put together the model in which we want to develop. Because our theme is transforming the ex-offender into a social entrepreneur. And just talking to you, we know it can be done.
It can be done.
It can be done. And we would love very much to, if in a way possible, to just partner up with you and see how the two organizations can like come together and be able to make it happen even more on a wider scale.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're in a position to do that. You have the ideas, we have the ideas, we have the product.
You do, you really do.
And there's so much available out there when it comes to needs of people.
That's right.
Training, electrical needs, plumbing needs,
that's
which
it.
I understand are
That's
part
it.
of
And
the
see that,
training.
and see that's the
available.
part. We got an old house in
Right.
which we want to go in, and that's what we want to be able to teach the students. We want to teach them plumbing and electricity. That's the reason why we got the old house. It's something because the city, the county, when they saw it, they wanted to actually knock it down. And I go, no, we don't want to knock it down. We want to use this as a way of restoring it to a facility that can be able to help the whole community, but at the same time restoring the lives of the youth who, when they come out, they have, a lot of them don't have anywhere, to go.
Right.
Like you said, they could go to a homeless shelter, or either they might even go back to the same place that they came from where they got in trouble in the first place.
Yeah. Well, I remember, Liz, because so many stories, one of the nicest fellows in prison who just did his time, didn't bother with anyone, didn't really learn much, because he just said he got out, but he got along with everyone. And he was back in prison a few months later, and I said, Bill, I said, what, you're such a good guy, you get along with anyone. And he said to me, Dennis, I tell you, I knew how to behave in prison, but when I get out there, things are just different. You gotta get your own food, you gotta get your own shelter, there's a lot of demands. So people have to be prepared for that. He wasn't prepared for it. And I find, I wasn't a nice guy in prison. I didn't obey a lot of things. They put me in lockup confinement because I said, I'm here to improve myself, to learn. And I'm not going to spend my days sweeping floors and that. I need to learn something here, whether it's to read a book, whether it's to get training. And I did I'm a good plumber now too, and electrician. Because that was available, and certainly computer science. People marvel. I got out of prison computer literate when the whole computer age took place while I was there. But I was able to type and that. And one of my friends on the outside, he never was in prison, I typed him emails, and he didn't respond. I said, how come? He said, I can't type. He said, maybe I should have gone to prison. That was his words. But people can learn, people can develop, and it's an opportunity, the way I saw it. So all of these skills can help people not just survive, but prosper, really.
That's true. That's right. And that's our goal. That's our goal. Is that we want our youth to prosper. Our goal is we have some of the students at George Mason University who are social entrepreneurs, and they all getting major, but most of them have that. The ones who are part of the social entrepreneur society, they have that passion that where they really want to create and be something that they can be able to share with others. And this is where we see that they can be like a mentor to some of the teenagers that are coming out of the facilities, JCD facility. When they come out of there, that's where we can direct them. You know, and see, we want them to have two mentors, a college student and a person who's very professional like you.
Oh, thank you.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in that way, they have two mentors, and with that kind of enforcement, then they would not have to worry about going back into.
Yes, I agree. As you were talking, Liz, I thought of another example of another fellow in prison who got out and took a different path. His name is Brian. We have regular contact there, and he owns his own roofing company now it's in Pennsylvania. Does very, very well, has a big house, been married now for 25 years. He's been out for 20, they just celebrated their anniversary. And he wrote a book about his success. And he said when he got out of prison, he went to apply for jobs, and the one he really wanted was in a place where he could learn roofing, the trade he eventually wanted to go in, but they weren't hiring. So he went back the next day and just hung around. He got a broom, and he started sweeping up and did everything. And the guy in charge said, well, were you hired? He said, no, I just want to help out here. Well, you know, we said, well, we're not paying you. And I said, okay, I don't mind. I'm not doing anything with my time anyway, you know. And a couple of days later, they gave him a full-time, well-paying job. I mean, how can you not? He demonstrated his work and his sincerity. And as he put it, what else could I do? Just hang around the corner or someplace here? And he was picking up conversations of people and learning what he wanted to learn there and the skills.
So they didn't know it, but they were his mentor.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what he was looking for. And he was successful in that. But it was like me in the homeless shelter, as opposed to turning down good jobs that my family was offering that I couldn't develop, I couldn't learn, I couldn't give back and help others, which I wanted to do because I got so much help in prison from so many inmates that were better at music or art than I was. And I said, well, they're still there. Let's develop a way for them to have outside mentors, contacts, and that's largely what we do, link people together. People check our website and get on our email list. Every other week we have a mentors meeting, we answer letters, we have arranged, we go into different prisons and jails, we do that too.
Do you go into the juvenile as well?
We have done that. We're a little more limited than that, but there's other groups that more specialize in that. We've been dealing mostly with adults. It's easier to get access there. There's so many sometimes protections. You're right. But the need is so great. I mean, we have 2.5 million people in prison in America, the largest rate of incarceration in the world. We have 5% of the world's population, yet 25% of the world's incarcerated people. It's almost a disgrace that we've thrown so many people in prison for so long. But while they're there, let's give them a chance to develop. Let's give them a break. And certainly social entrepreneurship is a very, very good and important way. Because if you have real skills that people want, they're going to overlook criminal records. They're going to overlook what's been said, whether you're registered in some government website, you know, the scarlet letter put on you. So skills are very important, and the ability to be a social entrepreneur is very important as well. We were going to wrap this up, but we're going to talk about the upcoming event that we're going to have at George Mason. On April the 28th. Right. And what we're gonna do is have you come there. You can set up an art gallery. Okay, absolutely. He's gonna set up an art gallery at George Mason University. And if people are seeing this after the event, we're going to continue to have other events. So just
Okay.
check with you or with us.
Yes.
Because this is our first in the partnership, but it's one of many opportunities that will come up there.
Yes, yes.
So this is wonderful. But,
It is
but did
absolutely
I cut
wonderful.
you off at all?
No.
Okay.
No, we also gonna have you to play your
Oh yes,
guitar.
I enjoy
Yeah.
playing. I practice today. I practice every day for 2 hours a day. I was doing more in prison, but that's a commitment I made to myself. No matter what else I do, eating, sleeping, I get my 2 hours in a day, and it's very relaxing.
And
it's
you-
very
is the guitar?
therapeutic, and with the guitar and
Okay.
read because I could read music. One day I'll read the classics. I could read
Okay.
soul music,
Mhm.
but I have that diversity. And because to be literate, it's like being literate in books.
Yes.
You have a world open to you.
Yeah.
So I very much enjoy that, and any opportunity I get, I will play at. The American Civil Liberties Union has a big dinner coming up. I'll be playing one of our art galleries. The Watergate has an opening coming up.
Really?
I'll be performing there. And there's a big festival right here in Washington, D.C.
DC?
coming up, and I'll be part of that as
Well,
well.
you have to send us this information
Oh,
so
yeah.
that we can be able
Well,
to.
you're on my email list. So
That's right.
You can spread it to the world from that.
I can spread it to the world.
yeah.
Yes. We're also going to be having our students at George Mason. They could be participating.
Yeah.
And we're going to have some outsiders. They could be coming in as well.
Yes.
And all of this is like a fundraiser for to help raise money
Right.
to do job training for the homeless.
Right.
Because what we're saying is you can feed them a fish for one day, but when you teach them how to fish, it'll be for a lifetime.
That's my favorite expression.
It is.
And that was, I think, on my wall in prison.
Was it?
Yeah,
Was it?
because it
So-
really is. It hits the target.
Yes, it
right?
does.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. So, and I like it because this is the way in which we're getting the students involved,
Mm-hmm.
and we're getting the community involved,
Mm-hmm.
and we want you to become involved. You who are listening to us, we want you to become involved, not just only for this event, but go to our website and check out our website and look at all of the positive things that we're doing here in the community. You're covering in Washington, D.C. I'm down in Virginia.
Yeah.
But what is your website? What is your website?
SafeStreetsArts.org, and safe singular, streets plural, arts plural.org. And please come and visit and join our email list, and we send one email out a week updating you on events, because every week we have a different event, whether it's a mentors meeting, whether it's a festival, whether it's a partnership of the festival that we'll be doing. We hope to see you.
Yeah, and our website is www.yciyos.org, and we're joining forces with the Social Entrepreneur Society at George Mason University. And until next time, this has been RETV. Remember, you saw it first here on RETV. Goodbye.